Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishnan Nair here. Basically, we are discussing about the Oracle introduction. Basically, in Oracle introduction, basically we have discussed about the Oracle architect. That why basically the Oracle architect came into the picture. Basically. Why Oracle told that basically let's create one architect. Basically. So here is the architect of the Oracle. Basically, let's discuss basically this architect. Basically, the design basically which you see basically here that basically contains the architect one image file basically that image based file basically is the Oracle architecture basically. In that basically you can see system global area. In that basically shared pool is there. In that library cache basically is there. Shared SQL area is there. Private SQL area is there. Large pool is there. Then free memory input output buffer area. UGA is there basically. Then PMON, SMON, this process basically are the background processes are there basically. Like this database buffer cache is basically they have created. Fixed global area system global area basically they have created. Java pool basically they have created. Redo block buffer basically they have created. Like this basically they have created each and every process basically. And that process basically ultimately basically entire basically things basically are into the memory basically, and that memory basically goes into the process basically, and then basically the process basically shift the data to the physical file basically. So the concept basically is very simple basically. So the concept is Oracle server is what basically instance plus database basically. Instance means basically it's a virtual area basically. This thing basically is a virtual thing. This basically you can't see basically, but there are many monitor system basically available. In that basically you can see each and every flow of the data basically up to the data. For example, you are inserting one data basically you can see basically that data is going from this area to this, from this area to this, from this to this cache area to that cache area. Then basically it's moving to that virtual area. Then basically at last basically to redo log this log that log archive log basically. Then at last basically it comes to the physical file basically, which is basically in the Oracle. So Oracle server basically is what? It's the instance plus database basically. It's the instance plus database. So it's a virtual plus physical basically. So that basically is the Oracle server basically. Now basically in the above architect basically we saw SGA basically. So what is SGA? That is basically the system global area basically. When we start the Oracle basically, that time basically memory gets allocates, and that memory basically is given as a name as a SGA basically. And in this SGA basically the database contains the insert data, select data, update. This everything is in memory basically. It's not a permanent basically. It's not a permanent because it's a virtual basically. It's a instance basically. Its instance are created in the instance basically. SGA is basically is created. You can't see the SGA basically. It's a system global area basically. It's a architect basically. You can't see the SGA basically. But the task basically which HDA do basically that basically is this all thing basically. Need storage same as RAM basically. So SGA is equal to RAM basically. That also you can see. In basically company basically there are many different departments, IT departments, HR department. Like this same way basically SGA also basically has divided lots of things basically. And that basically you can see in architect also basically. And you basically saw in the architect also basically. So in this basically one of the thing is share pool basically. Share pool, one of the person told them what is share pool? Yeah, basically. Shared pool basically. So shared pool basically you can say the data this in this basically the memory basically the select data definitions SQL statements are basically stored, and all the insert updates basically are uh, definitions basically are stored. Then the it stores basically the latest basically recent informations basically. Reason is the basically you can basically the performance is basically for the performance basically it should be good basically. So that's why basically it's store the recent now basically. The session basically it's so this basically contains into the SGA basically. In this basically then basically we saw that data dictionary is also there in the above diagram basically one data dictionary is also there. In the data dictionary basically what it stores basically. In data dictionary it's with this all thing basically you can't see basically but it's the architect basically but when you basically tune the database basically and you are basically when you are working in the database side basically that time basically you should know this all thing basically. For example, if you want to increase the database file that time basically there is one command basically that command basically you should know basically. You want to increase the memory buffer basically SGA size basically you want to increase so you should know basically the SG file. Data dictionary cache. Data dictionary cache basically contains what basically? It contains column information, table permissions basically, all words basically you can say that is basically select, statement, star, from, table name. It basically contains the metadata basically. How basically the select basically in command basically how select know that basically you have to select the table basically you have to select the data basically. So these all are the metadata basically which basically are stored basically. Now basically it's a share library cache basically. In share library execution plan basically stores hash value basically stores and lots of things basically. So it don't do the entire process again basically. Don't have you don't have to do the process again basically. So the execution plan according to the select statement the basically the execution plan basically takes the execution plan from the existing shared library basically which for example select star from table name so that basically it's used basically so it can be basically take from this shared library basically so it's basically a memory basically one of the person told that we are basically not able to understand. We understood basically what you are telling, but why basically? Because it's a shared memory basically. Every time basically when you are writing the select statement basically, every time basically you are not supposed to go to the table, you are not supposed to go to the physical side basically. Everything basically is in the memory basically. So from memory basically, it's easy to access and it's easy for the performance also basically. Then basically large pool basically are there. The large pool basically say that when this basically comes into the picture when the database backups basically are taken big number of perform memory basically are used that time basically the large pool basically are used library cache is there that basically contains the execution plan shared SQL area is there it basically contains the execution plan and SQL statistic data very private SQL area. Private SQL area is that is basically when you do the select statement. That time basically bind variable basically are used. That time basically it comes to the private SQL area because it's a private now basically. You that the particular user is passing the data. If you are writing select star from particular table name, that is basically is, not a private. Why? Because special data is not passed. But here basically we are passing the special data basically. So this is the private area basically you can say. Then basically the server result cache is also there in the that basically PLSQL performance tuning basically select functions with the same parameter. So these all basically can be used are stored in the server result. So that basically next time basically when the same function and same parameter basically gets executed so it basically takes from the here. So next video basically we are going to still take more of this.